Hey everybody, welcome into this week's edition of the Spot On Fishing Top 5. I'm your host, Tony Krizek. Today we're talking about one of my favorite things to do, bass on topwaters. And not just any topwater. We're talking about what do we do when everything mats up. Lily pads, milfoil, cabbage flats, you name it. When it gets sloppy, what can we throw? That's what we're counting down. The top 5 best slop topwaters that we can throw for bass here around the Chicagoland area. The frogs from Sproule are just amazing baits. What really I like about them the most is they come in 2 different sizes. They're full size and the junior. And the full size is on par with pretty much every frog that you have on the market today. 2.5 inches, about 5/8 of an ounce. But they also do that junior version. A little bit smaller, right at about 1.75 inches or so, 2 inches. A little bit lighter too. Now what's nice about the junior is it allows you to throw into some places that you can't get a full-size frog through. It allows you to fish and match a hatch, smaller frogs, or if you're on a shad-based lake and you're fishing a pocket, it allows you to actually still continue to match that hatch. Great option too in cold front situations where we want to downsize our presentation too a little bit. Don't overlook it. Big things do come in small packages. The true Tungsten line of frogs is really probably the toughest built frog that's out there right now. You know, so many times it seems we catch a dozen or so fish on a frog and we're ripping it apart, legs are falling apart, taking on a lot of water, we're constantly squeezing water out of them. The true Tungsten frogs, they're super soft for how tough they are, but it's just unbelievable the durability that these frogs have. Very nice casting distance on these frogs, good heavyweight frogs as well. Now, there's a little trick with the true Tungsten frogs though. Those legs on the back end, we can kind of trim it unevenly. And the reason we do that, either the right or the left, it doesn't particularly matter, whichever ones you do trim. But when you actually trim one shorter than the other, if we're not in super thick, heavy cover, we can actually make that frog walk the dog side to side. Now, a lot of frogs, you can do that right out of the packaging. The true Tungsten frogs, I have had some where they will do that right off the bat. But if you have a true Tungsten that doesn't want to glide and walk the dog for you, you go ahead and trim that tail down and you can get that walk the dog action. When you're in real heavy stuff like this, slop, pads, you're not going to have a walk the dog. You're just going to want to skip it along and pause it over the little holes and pockets you come across. So let me show you how we actually rig up our next entry here on our slop baits. The way we rig it up, this is the Strike King Rage Tail Frog. Doesn't come pre-rigged. We have our frog hook here. You can get any brand of frog hook you like. Has the little spring keeper to it. That spring keeper is where we're going to actually thread up the nose, come right on the front of the frog, and it's just a corkscrew. And we literally just spin it right on up. Now once we have her all the way up like that, we'll simply take our hook point, go right through the body. And essentially we're just Texas rigging it at this point. And we can just pinch it just under the skin. And when you take them out of the package for the first time, these 2 little paddles on the back end are going to be stuck together, stuck to its legs. You want to make sure you open that up so you get the maximum undulation on them. Now what I really like using the Rage Tail Frog in situations where essentially what we kind of have here at Mastodon, where it's not really pad situations. Now the other frogs, walk the dog style frogs, will work in this type of water, but I really prefer this over grass flats, scum like this. You churns the water very nicely. You can cover water quickly. It doesn't really churn water when you're in pads or carpet type stuff, but where you have a lot of water on the surface with this stuff that's floating, it's a lot better if you can get away with running a bait like this. Straight retrieves, we're not twitching it, no pauses, keep it moving. It's essentially kind of like a buzz bait, but totally weedless with those paddle tails going, churning away, and that'll produce a lot of fish in heavy cover like this. The KVD Strike King rattling frog. Now what's really cool about that, I already said it right in its name, it rattles. Now pretty much any hollow body frog you can add a rattle chamber to it, but this one already comes prepared, ready to go. And what's nice, it's about 2.5 inches long and probably right around about 5/8 of an ounce, so you can get good casting distance. And it's amazing that little rattle that it does have, just exactly how much more bites we seem to get, especially in really pressured lakes. If you're fishing a lot of a slop, you know, areas like here out at Mastodon Lake where we're actually filming this top 5, but if you're fishing Patterson, Shabanaw, areas like that where these fish see a lot of baits, a lot of frogs, that rattle can really set it apart from just about any other frog on the market. If they're not reacting to any frog, don't be afraid to throw the Strike King KVD rattling frog. My all-time favorite topwater slop bait frog, whatever you'd like to call it, is from Jackal, the IOB frogs. The hookup ratio on them is absolutely phenomenal. You know, that's probably the biggest question we're always asked. Hey, Tone, you know, I miss so many fish when I'm fishing frogs. What am I doing wrong? And the answer is nothing you're really doing wrong. You're in heavy cover, you're fishing a topwater bait, which they miss already quite a bit. It puts the odds against you. The plastic on the IOBs from Jackal is super soft. Honest to God, as soon as they put their lips around this thing, they're stuck on it. It is unbelievable, and that is why the IOB frog from Jackal is definitely our top pick for the #1 slop bait when you're in the thick stuff like this. It just flat out gets the job done. Well, that's this week's top 5, ladies and gentlemen. We were going to contemplate fishing a little more, but my gosh, the mosquitoes are out, and that seems to be the only bite I'm getting tonight. But we'd love to hear in the comments below, what are your thoughts? What are some of your favorite topwater slop baits? Let us know. Do you like our top 5? Do you disagree with our countdown? Tell us what you think. It's your chance to be heard. Comment below. Once again, I'm Tony Krizek. We'll see you next time on Tony's Spot on Fishing.